In this section, we're going to discuss polymorphism. As we have seen, data types are implemented by classes. These classes have state and behavior. The state are variables that remember certain pieces of information, and behavior are the methods defined that manipulate those data members or do other computation. A subclass inherits from another class using the extends keyword. The subclass is a subtype. Subtype may also be a class that implements an interface. That class would be a subtype of the interface that it implements. Therefore, a subtype either inherits or implements. It has its own state and behavior. And the key point here is that the subclass has also the behavior and the state of the superclass or the behavior defined by the interface. So it has both its own and the class from which it inherits or interface from which it implements. The subtype always is a supertype. Anytime we're talking about the supertype, be it the interface or a superclass, the subclass is considered one of those also. The subclass may have more to it and usually does. Now, we need to know that because polymorphic behavior is dependent upon the fact that a subclass is a superclass plus more. The term polymorphic comes from two Greek words, poly meaning many or multiple, and morph meaning form or shape, and ik being a suffix meaning that it has a characteristic of something. So polymorphic objects appear to have different shapes. And what we mean by that is that a subclass can act as a superclass because it is a superclass, and it can also act as its own class, the subclass. When acting as the superclass, it can do the things that the superclass can do. When acting as its own class, it can do everything the superclass can do, plus any additional methods defined by the class itself. So it acts differently based on how we look at it. This is true in human relations too. A policeman on the street is interacted with by the citizens in a certain way. And he's still somebody's dad, he's still somebody's son, he's still somebody's husband. When he's in uniform, he acts as an officer. He functions as a policeman. He will stop traffic or he will ticket somebody or whatever a policeman does, but he's acting as a policeman, although he's also somebody's father. When he takes his uniform off and goes home, he doesn't write tickets to the kids. He acts as dad. He talks to them and deals with them, etc. So same guy, but he's acting differently based on which role he is in. And that's what polymorphic classes do. Depending upon the reference variable, they're in different roles. Overridden methods are defined in the superclass. The subclass overrides them by adding or replacing the behavior of the superclass. If we call that object as the superclass, we may think, since it's in the superclass role, that we would execute the implementation of the superclass method. Well, that's not correct. Because that method is overridden by the subclass, even though we're referring to it as a superclass object, the subclass behavior is what occurs. This allows us to treat objects generically as superclasses, yet get the behavior of the subclass. An example in the last section was payroll. We treat every employee as an employee, so we would be treating them as the superclass employee, but their pay is computed by the type of employee they actually are. Wage earner, salary, etc. We don't want to try to figure out, well, is this employee a wage earner? And if so, then compute the wage according to his numbers. We just simply say, you're an employee, compute your pay. The correct compute pay method is executed. It makes programming so simple. It allows us to very generically handle related classes and have them do the right thing without us having to write code to determine their type and call specific functions. Polymorphism is a wonderful boost for programming efficiency. Now, there are limits to polymorphism. Polymorphic objects reflect the interface of the reference variable. The additional methods that an object is capable of executing, because it is a subclass and it has added new methods, those are not visible from the superclass reference. So there's no way to directly call an additional method that the subclass defines from the superclass reference. The superclass does not know about it. We can only call the methods defined in the superclass.